Hello everyone and welcome back to Talkin Cube. I'm your host Milo, and today we're going to be taking a closer look at white. White is the color of absolute. So if you have creatures, they say no more creatures. If you have lands, they say no more lands. If you have more lands than them, they say, well, I want to go get 3 lands every turn. That sort of thing. Let's take a look at what I'm talking about. So we're going to start with the 2 planeswalkers in white. The first one is the auto-include, the Elspeth Knight Errant. It's 2 and 2. It's amazing. This is like a first pick caliber card. It's aggressive. It's controlling. It's whatever you want it to be. It's the best Elspeth. It's really cool, and you're always happy to have it. Gideon is the other white planeswalker that I have in my cube. It's a really great control card. You can get the 8 right away and prevent a bunch of dudes from swinging in at your face. So that's always good. That's always a huge plus in my book. Next up, we have another card that I consider a bomb, silly first pick, is Lantax, because when you play him, you can, and if your opponent has more lands than you can essentially get an Ancestral Recall in your upkeep and draw 3 lands. Sure, they're all lands. It's not as good as Ancestral Recall, but it helps thin your deck. I like to take more lands than I could possibly hold on to. I'm one of those players that, with 7 cards in hand, they'll search for 3 lands knowing they'll have to discard 2 of them. Just because I'm a huge fan of thinning the deck. It's also the artwork I love. I know that there's a promo, but this greasy dude with his bag of coins is pretty solid. Another card that's always paired or seen with Lantax is Balance, and of course the best removal spell in the entire game of Magic, Swords to Plowshares. These are all incredibly high picks. Balance used to be a higher pick than it is now. Balance takes a little bit of work to get the value out of. Sure, you can. It's a Wrath of God, Armageddon, and a Mind Twist, but it takes a lot of work to get it, so that it's a benefit to you all the time. One of the recent things that I've seen in other cubes is Greater Gargadon Balance, and that might have been a combo that was used in great success in everyone else's cube, but I did not have a Greater Gargadon in mine, so I wasn't able to do it. But I'm going to definitely get one and switch out Goblin Goon so that people can play Balance, Gargadon, Shenanigans. Another card that was 2 cards that I remember together always when I used to, in the earliest days of Magic, are Armageddon, not specifically this Armageddon, obviously, but this Armageddon, and of course, Wrath of God. This isn't a beta Wrath of God, this is a collector's edition, but it looks nicer than a regular Wrath of God. Plus, I got Werner Herzog to sign this one. He's the director of Aguirre Wrath of God. He also directed Rescue, Dawn, Bad Lieutenant, Protocol, New Orleans, even Dwarves Started Small. There's a bunch of movies that he's made. Werner Herzog is a prolific filmmaker. However, I got him to sign this Wrath of God, so it's going to stay in the cube forever now. And Armageddon is a huge bomb, and especially with the recent printing of Boros Charm, these 2 cards have gone even higher up in value. This is the best Wrath, and this is the best Geddon still to this day. But we definitely have other versions of Wrath of God. We have an Akroma's Vengeance, which isn't in a lot of cubes. It hits artifacts, though. We have the Strictly Worse Day of Judgment. But still, it's cheap, right? And that's what matters a lot of the time. We also have a Route You can play it it costs 3 and 2 white, or you can play it as an instant for an additional 2. And we also have the Geddon Wrath of God hybrid Catastrophe. So there's no glare. It's 6 mana sorcery, but you can either choose to Wrath or Geddon, which is useful. Like if you're ahead, you Geddon. If you're behind, you Wrath. It's pretty solid stuff. And a lot of people don't think about this card as a Wrath of God, but it can definitely be played as a Wrath of God as well as a combo piece. Parallax Wave. Okay, and then we're going to take a look at something completely different now. Take a look at some efficient creatures. Mirran Crusader. Against Rock, this card is insane because they have no way of dealing with it other than just making you sacrifice it. The double strike is great with Swords and Jitte. It's a bomb. And there's another card that's very similar to it, was printed afterwards, was Silverblade Paladin, which lets you pair with another creature to give them both double strike. And there's a lot of... It's almost like instant speed, your guy gets double strike because your opponent will pass turn, and then you play this, give your guy double strike and attack. They weren't thinking that this guy with the Jitte or the sword on it had double strike. Or, it could be a Wolfie or Silverheart. 8/8 double strike. Pretty awesome stuff. Another card that was actually printed in Mirrored and Besieged that was also quite good for white is the Hero of Bladehold. If you can... I actually played a cube online, the MTGO Holiday Cube, and I was able to go Mana Crypt turn 1 with Black-White Dual Land and Phyrexian Rager next turn, Hero of Bladehold. And that was the game. It was just a huge deal. But there's also another one of those really important creature types in Cube is Angel. So we have definitely one of the most iconic angels in Cube is Baneslayer Angel, one of the angels that were here since the dawn of this cube. Exalted Angel is pretty good at gaining you some life. The Synergy Angel, Restoration Angel, which is good with not with other angels, but with anything that has entered the battlefield abilities. And let me tell you, a lot of things in Cube have entered the battlefield abilities, like a whole bunch of things. There's also Sublime Archangel, which doesn't see a lot of play and might not be the best for Cube. It might be coming out of Cube very shortly. And Karmic Guide is a combo angel as well. So Karmic Guide is a very important angel to note in Cube because it's a reanimator spell. It's 3 and 2 white, flying, protection from black. When it enters the battlefield, return target creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield. So that's pretty much anything. And it's huge. It's a huge deal. Lots of reanimation spells are just like one of the best archetypes in Cube, and something that you always have to be on the lookout for. And finally, we have Angel of Serenity. I need to get Josh Whedon to sign that. Yeah, so it's kind of a newer addition to the Cube, and I don't know if it's gonna stick around, but it seems pretty good. I haven't seen it be broken or busted yet, but it seems good enough, and I don't have too much to report about it yet, unfortunately. This isn't an angel, but it's, I guess, kind of the same. Yosei the Morningstar is a dragon, 6 mana, 5/5. When it dies, tap up to 5 permanents. That player skips their next untap step. And then we have some angel cards that aren't actually angels. Angelic Destiny hasn't been great. We also have Decree of Justice, which is always good. I always really like Decree of Justice. You never actually put angels into play. You always put in soldier tokens, but it's uncounterable, and you get to draw a card, and it's instant speed. It's really great. It's a great token generator. Another card that you always have to be on the lookout for in Cube is Revelark. There's too many shenanigans that people can get away with by using Revelark. I've seen just from the very basic Eternal Witness strategies, or the Karmic Guide strategies, where you can keep recurring Revelark and two creatures to the battlefield with power 2 or less. This Karmic Guide has power 2 or less, and it brings in another creature. So you can bring this back, and then let this die, and then if this dies again, you bring this back, and maybe an Eternal Witness, and maybe a Chaos Orb, or some other silly bomb. Speaking of silly bombs, this is an interesting card in Cube. It's always tough to make that Stoneforge Mystic pick without any equipment yet, hoping that you see a sword or a Jitte or a Skull Clamp or something come around. But if you have it, turn 2, get Batterskull. That's a vintage sort of deck, and you can definitely play that in Cube. There's a lot of other efficient, cheap creatures in white. Student of Warfare is decent. I don't think it's going to be around for very long. Izamaru, Hound of Konda, is as good as a 2/2 for 1 can get. Sure, it's a legendary creature, but you can only have 1 per deck anyway. Other 1-drops, we have Gold Meadow Harrier. It's just your Blinding Mage style card for 1 white. Mother of Runes. All she does is she shows up and stays on the battlefield forever. It's just the threat of Mother of Runes that keeps your whole team alive. It blanks removal spells. They have to have 2 removal spells. 1, and then she counters it, and then the second one kills her. So she's a lightning rod that takes 2 hits, or it takes 2 spells to deal with. This card, everybody wanted to see it in the Cube, but I don't think anybody ever plays it. Soldier of the Pantheon is a new one. It's a 2/1 for 1 with 2 abilities, so I mean, that's really good. You can't really pass that up. Especially when you're playing things like this. Elite Vanguard, a 2/1 for 1 white with no abilities, and of course the original 2/1 for 1 white with no abilities, Savannah Lion. So those are all the 1-drops, 1-drop creatures. We have a bunch of 2-drop creatures. Yes, this is a 2-drop creature, Porcelain Legionnaire. Paulo Vito Damodarosa signed this for me because I was playing Moto one day, and I was drafting, and he messaged me, and he was like, "Hey man, you got any Porcelain Legionnaires?" And it was because I had posted something in the classifieds of Moto, and I definitely wasn't expecting Paulo to contact me about it. And I was like, I had a really tough pick. It was an M12 draft, and I said I would give him the Porcelain Legionnaires for free on Moto if he would make my pick for me. And I forget what it was between. It was like Druidic Satchel and something, and he told me to pick the Satchel because it was super fun, and I appreciated that. So I knew my friend was going to Worlds, and I got him to get Paulo to sign that for me. We also have some aggressive 2-drop creatures that are really great in Cube. One card that everybody is speculating about, thinks it's going to go up in value because he's playing Modern, This is a great card in aggressive creature strategies. Non-creature spells cost 1 more to cast. Is huge against so many decks, against Yawgmoth Will decks, against Storm, which isn't really a thing in my cube, but it's good against a lot of counter strategies as well. Things that already are a pain for them to cast. Their wraths go up by 1. Their draw spells go up by 1. Their counter spells go up by 1. Talia, Garden of Traben. Also guards your strategy. Core Skyfisher, because bouncing something to your hand is not always a drawback. 2/3 flyer for 2. Night of Glory is a new one that we're just trying out. It hasn't really seen a lot of play. This one, I used to have the Pro Black one as well, but the Pro Black one got cut. Double white is tough. It's tough to cast things for double white. This is, of course, Soltari Priest. It's a 2/1 Shadow Pro Red. Pro Red is more important because of things like Electrolyze, Fire, all Arc Lightning. These spells that can 2-for-1 your guy, and not necessarily because it's a super aggressive or defensive card. It's just a card that evades a removal just a little bit better. We have a 2/1 for 2, but it has flying, evasion, and you can play it in a 2-color deck and drop it on turn 2 very easily. Another 2-drop, a Quarter Paladin. It's good in token strategies, but he's just a good guy. A 3/1 for 2 with an ability that really benefits swarms is huge. We have Cloistered Youth. At the beginning of your upkeep, you just flip this, so it's a 1/1 for 2, and then the next turn it's a 3/3 when you're already attacking, and you lose a life every turn. But that's okay. It's a small price to pay in an aggressive strategy. Losing a life every turn is probably not going to be what breaks you. Oh, sorry, I missed a 1-drop. We have an Akrasan Squire, a 1/1 Exalted. People like him. I'm not one of the people that like him, so it's hard for me to really talk about him. Another card that's really good in aggressive strategies is Ranger of Eos. So for 3 and a white, it's a 3/2 human soldier. When he comes into play, you can search your library for up to 2 creature cards with converted mana cost 1 or less, reveal them, and put them into your hand. If you do, shuffle your library. Alright, going back to 2-drop creatures real quickly. Syndic of Tithes is not a Orzhov card, in my opinion, because you would play this. You could play this in any white deck and just extort using white mana. It's still a 2-mana 2/2 with a significant ability. Wall of Omens, it's like the Wall of Blossoms that we saw in green. Mirror Entity is another card that pumps your swarms. Changeling, important to remember that. Fate's Feathers is a universal removal spell. It can enchant planeswalkers. When it comes into play, you gain 4 life. This is good against almost anything. This is a bomb card. Alter was done by Chippy, in case you're wondering. He just did a little bit of writing around in that circle. Let's take a look at the rest of the removal spells in white. We have Path to Exile, which was reprinted in Modern Masters. It exiles a creature, and the creature's controller looks for a basic land. Right. We also have the Commander removal spell, from the new Commander set. Unexpectedly Absent. This is good. Your opponent cracks a fetch land. You respond by making them shuffle some non-land permanent into their deck for 2 mana. It's instant speed. It's very good. We also have a Journey to Nowhere and Oblivion Ring. Oblivion Ring hits any permanent. Journey to Nowhere hits only creatures. They do the same thing. And then we also have Fiend Hunter for 1 and 2 white. He's a 1/3 that does the same thing as Journey to Nowhere when he dies. Journey to Nowhere just like Journey to Nowhere, the creature comes back into play. Enlightened Tutor. Just tutor up artifacts or enchantment cards. It's good if you have Recurring Nightmare, you want to search it up, or if you want to put, I don't know, some crazy bomb artifact on top of your deck, like your Sol Ring or your Chaos Orb. It's decent. I also haven't seen this being used to its fullest extent, but it's one of those cards that always gets better with the addition of new sets. Cloud Goat Ranger is a token generator, a beating of a token generator, and Flicker Wisp is the type of spell that really makes Cloud Goat Ranger shine, blinking things with enters the battlefield abilities, like this, and then maybe you want to attack with your Soltari Champion and give +1/+1 to all the other attacking creatures. Huh? It's the sort of white strategy that that could do well. You can also, we have an Anthem. I think this is the best Glorious Anthem that's been printed. Creatures you control get +1/+1. That's it. That's Glorious Anthem, by the way. And then also on top of that, it's an artifact that destroys target creature that dealt damage to you this turn. It's a new card and it hasn't seen any play in Cube yet. But I could imagine this would be not so bad. I could see this being good. We have, instead of Disenchant, there's a Seal of Cleansing, because Sun Titan can bring back Seal of Cleansing and not Disenchant. Frontline Medic is a card that I thought was going to be freaking amazing when it came out, and it really hasn't been. He hasn't lived up to the hype. We also have a couple cards that are good against creature strategies. Ghostly Prison, it's propaganda. It's a white propaganda. And Timely Reinforcements, which in my opinion is one of the coolest, most frustrating white cards ever printed. And I love this card so much. I'm such a huge fan of Timely Reinforcements. This will always have a place in my cube. Even if they print one that costs 3 in a white, or sorry, 1 in a white, and gains you 7 life, and puts into play 4 1/1 white soldier tokens, I'll still put this in. They'll both be in the cube. That's what I was going to say. And we have finally Core Haven, which is a white card because you would only ever play this in a deck that could support it with white mana. And it's pretty much Maze of Ith, except it doesn't untap the creature, which is great. And it costs white mana to activate. So, there you have it. This was white. I hope you enjoyed taking a peek at all of these white cards in my cube. I will be back shortly with another episode, and we'll talk about a different color. Thanks for watching, everyone. Take care.